Just 3 more weeks of the World Touring Car Series remains here in the Championship, and where better to start that off than in Kent at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix layout for rounds number 28 to 30 of this World Touring Car Series. Hello everybody, I'm Paul Smith. Joining me on commentary is of course Conor Imadic as we have a look at the schedule. Conor, those last 3 weeks of the Championship, they are iconic touring car venues.
Yeah, we're coming into the final couple of stages now. This is where the championships come to a head, Paul. Like you said, we start off here at Brands Hatch for our final run to the very end of the season. And it is, of course, a run of 3 British tracks as well. Brands Hatch, Donington Park, Silverstone. I cannot wait for them.
Certainly, we'll get to decide who is going to be a champion, but who will it be? We just do not know, because Ross McFarlane in his Pure Sims Esports Hyundai just leads the Pro Championship by 9 points over Jack Sedgwick in his Was Cooking by CSS Audi. Sindre Setsource is 3rd place, 81 points off of the Championship leader. David Baker in Outside Hub in 4th place in his Pure Sims Esports Honda. Then the rest of the pros, it is Damien Harris, Wojciech Svanovic, Jake Blackhall, Stefan Scheller, Dan Martin and Tim Reinhardt rounding out the top 10. In your AM Championship, it is Andres Gilman leading that in his Impulse Racing Honda by just 15 points over Craig Williams in his Was Cooking by CSS Audi. Then Martin Shirley is 124 points off of the Championship lead in his RD Simsport car ahead of Andy Shield, Stuart Bickley, Damon Mulqueen, Maciej Sakovic, Slavomir Jaworski, Mickey Pollard and Richard Simner. In the Pro Team standings, it is 670 points that Pure Sims Esport lead over Semper Racing, with RD Simsport in 3rd place. Wave Italy, Cala Esports and Fast Repair Motorsport are the 6th. And then in the AMs, it Was Cooking by CSS leading their compatriots, Was Cooking Racing Adventures by 664 points. 3M UK are in 3rd ahead of the AI Race Summaries DCW Racing Yellow, Impulse Racing, AI Race Summaries DCW Racing Blue, and Team Mad round out the 7 cars in AM. Well, we're just getting ourselves to the end of qualifying, so we'll just get the chance to go towards the grid here of our opening of 3 20-minute sprint races here tonight. And let's take you through your grid. It's Pure Sims Esports Ross McFarlane who takes pole position by 1/10 of a second over Semper Racing's Wojciech Savinovic. Andreas Gilman then is in 3rd place, the best of your AMs and the AM Championship leader for Impulse Racing, with Sindre Setsource in 4th place. 5th is Jack Sedgwick with Stefan Scheller rounding out the top 6. 7th place for David Baker, and alongside him is Dan Martin. Row number 5 for Jake Blackhall and Stuart Bickley, with Maciej Sakovic and Martin Shirley on row number 6. Row 7 for Andy Shield and Elliot Roberts, with Damien Harris and Slavomir Jaworski sharing row number 8. And row 9, one driver on his own there, Craig Williams. So we have got about a minute to go before the drivers take to the start of this race. 17 cars on the grid, Connery. I'm going to be positive we're going to have some good racing tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a decent chance at us getting a decent amount of side-by-side racing. Brands Hatch tends to deliver when it comes to things like this, so I am a little optimistic with what's to come.
Yeah, certainly. Optimism is on hope, a big hope for us. We've had shall we say, a tumultuous season so far in part of the North American run, but now we're into the final 3 rounds of the championship, and there's some drivers who will want to take it careful because they do not want to miss out on getting their various championships. But the drivers are getting themselves all set. On the grid then, 17 touring cars for the start of round number 28 of the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV. The engine's now rising. Long hold. But it's a green flag in the air and away we go, and Ross McFarlane, big plume of smoke going away. That's not been the best of starts for him. Here comes Wojciech Savinovic, and in there is Sindre Setsos as well in his Audi. So as they go through Paddock Hill Bend in towards Druids, Wojciech chops off the nose of Sindre Setsos. As they go around Druids Bend for the first time, plunge downhill towards Graham Hill Bend. Cars going 2 and 3 wide, a little bit further back, but we're staying as they are then at the front. Ross McFarlane leading for Wojciech Savinovic, Sindre Setsos in 3rd place, Andreas Gilman in 4th, so he's lost a place at the start of this race. But pole position isn't the best place to start from here at Brands Hatch. Usually 2nd place is the place you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's sometimes very, very tricky to get that good start off of the pole position. So, all that all being said, we've got McFarlane leading, Savinovic, then Setsos in that order as they head their way through the middle sector here at Brands Hatch for the first time. Everyone line astern, single file, not too many dramas up the front. There was a little bit of a side-by-side moment there back through the field for P9. That's Sakovic and Blackhall that were having a little bit of a duel, and they might actually continue on this fight in towards the final couple of corners in towards Clearways.
Yeah, through the Jim Clark curve then and down the Jack Brabham straight. And Blackhall gets the nose inside. Sakovic can't hold him off much longer. In towards Paddock Hill Bend. Who's the last of the late breakers? Well, it's Jake Blackhall. And he parks the car on the apex, but Maciej Sakovic looking to the inside, going into Druids, but no, not going to happen. And Sakovic has actually opened the door to Stuart Bickley there in his AI Race Summaries DCW racing car. And in fact, he goes through onto the brakes. And they're going to carry on. One driver who had to start from the back of the grid, Damien Harris, he's slowly making his way forward, as is Craig Williams as well. Another one of those drivers who had to start at the back. But Sakovic is under pressure here from Dan Martin. No, not from Dan Martin, sorry, from Martin Shirley. As they plunge downhill now towards that Hawthorne Bend. And Shirley has to go from attack to defence, because here comes Shield then around the outside, and he gets the job done. Nicely done then from Shield on Shirley as they go through Dingledale and then head up hill towards Sheen. This blind crested right-hander. Use all of the curb and then some, and then into Sterling's, carry the speed out this corner in towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing a good amount of fighting here in the very back of the pack. Remember, these are kind of, you know, the rear grouping, shall I say, and they're still, despite that fact, giving us a very, very good show indeed. Craig Williams and Elliot Roberts there going side by side very, very briefly, and actually, well, their battle's done. Now it's Elliot Roberts and Slavomir Yoyov. I'm going to get his name right at some point. Jaworski going wheel to wheel. That's for last place.
Last but by no means least, that is for sure, as they go through Druid, so plunge downhill again. But Williams has got a tough job on here as Elliot Roberts having to hold off Jaworski there. But Williams in front of these has got a tough job because he's in 15th. His championship rival, Andreas Gilman, is in 4th place right now. So I just get the feeling that penalty that Williams had to serve this time, he will be ruining that, and he'll be looking for a race 2 result.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been a massive feature in our race 2 and race 3 results, hasn't he, over the past, not just this season, but previous seasons as well. So definitely no stranger to being a good beneficiary of the reverse grid here. But of course, with the amount of cars that we have, it's more likely than not that you'll be involved in the reverse grid. Here, Roberts pushes all the way wide. There we go.
That Audi, it looks a bit of a handful here. Although saying that, Setsols and Sedgwick are in 3rd and 5th place in their Audis, so they're further up the field. It's Ross McFarlane who leads, 1.1 seconds ahead of Savinovic. And Setsols is actually under a bit of pressure from Andreas Gilman. Now, we saw at VIR that Audi looked very strong indeed at the Virginia International Raceway. And it's the grunt of that car that its real strength. Around here at Brands Hatch, you've not really got the straights to take advantage of it apart from here.
I mean, yeah, you got a decent round down on the back straight here as we start the descent, and then, of course, immediately afterwards a climb in towards the middle sector. But this is not long enough for that Audi to really stretch its legs. We see it more on the longer straights, it having the speed in the last, 300, 400 meters or so, and there aren't really straights long enough for it to gain that advantage here at Brands Hatch. So it's definitely not the car that you'd want to be in for this configuration. I mean, we have a Veloster leading at the moment, Ross McFarlane, but he's worked wonders with that car over the course of this season, so that is not necessarily a surprise. But yeah, it's not like Audi dominance like we kind of started to see at VIR.
Yeah, it's really sort of in that pack is that Audi, and struggling to move forward as we go through Paddock Hill Bend once again. And I can tell you from walking the track here, it is a steep descent. Is that the sim and TV coverage does not do that drop justice of just how much that drops down.
Yeah, I've never been here in real life, so I don't have that perspective, but I imagine, like, from you saying that, from people mentioning the same thing about Eau Rouge Radion at Spa, for example, and I know you know that track well in terms of walking it in real life as well. But yeah, the sim doesn't really give you a good idea of the elevation changes. I would argue even TV doesn't give you a good idea of the elevation changes. I know someone who went to the Circuit of the Americas and saying, yeah, it kind of looks, like a big hill into turn 1 on TV, but in real life, like, it looks like a mountain.
As the Zet drivers going through then, through that sheen curve, in towards Sterling's again, there is Jack Sedgwick ahead of Stefan Scheller. Scheller's in the only Hyundai Elantra out there, and again, this is a track layout that won't really suit that Elantra. It likes the more sort of long radius corners, does this car, and also tracks where you need to abuse the curbs because it is so stable, is this car. But around here at Brands, you don't really get that. There's a change in positions further down on our timing tower, and we cut to them there because Damien Harris and Andy Shield, they are absolutely neck and neck as they come downhill through Paddock into Druids. Shield's got that advantageous inside line, but he's still alongside, and that's going to be Harris's corner into Graham Hill Bend.
Yeah, if you can get around the outside there, you get the inside for Graham Hill Bend, and that is basically the move done. It's very tricky to hang it around the outside at Graham Hill, but now in their way through, it's all single file again. Like behind this, Andy Shield and Craig Williams and Martin Shirley were fighting wheel to wheel as well, and I get the feeling a little bit further up the road, Stuart Bickley and Maciek Sakovic are also deciding that they may want to scrabble over position as well. So interesting things happening here just outside of the top 10. The race leaders have really kind of gapped each other at the moment, as McFarlane has a 1 second lead over Savinovic. Savinovic has a 1.6 advantage over Setsols, so they're kind of spreading each other out, but everyone else in the second half of the field absolutely nose to tail as they exit Sterling's.
Yeah, there's a big gap between Blackall and Bickley, which is what we're seeing right here. Is Stuart Bickley at the head of this gaggle of cars. It's basically from 10th down is this, down to 16th, because Elliot Roberts is a few seconds back after that mistake at Sterling's that we saw earlier on. There's Sakovic in that Team Mad Honda. And Bickley, 2 seconds behind. Bickley, 1 second 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 behind. Bickley, Very striking livery to it as well. Into Druids, no move being made there. Yeah, let's not see a George Gamble move into Druids like we saw at the weekend with the British Touring Car Championship finale. Out of Graham Hill Bend then. There is a move opportunity into Surtees if you're brave, which is what we're seeing behind from Craig Williams on Andy Shield. Great shot from the back of the car there, but I think Shield got the move back done past him, and in fact Shirley's going to get the move done now on Williams. So from attack to defence, and that's lost him a position.
Yeah, great opportunistic driving there from Shirley to be able to make his way through after a big overcommitment, shall we say, on the brakes into Surtees. You said you have to be brave into there. I think Williams was perhaps a little bit too brave and a bit too optimistic and washed out a bit wide and ended up losing the position instead of gaining one over Shield.
I think he must have been watching Tom Ingram from the weekend, because he was pulling that move off beautifully at Surtees. So definitely it is a move that is on there, but you have to have a little bit of cooperation between the two drivers as well. But he just went a little bit too hot in, did Craig, and that's lost him that position. So back down to 15th now for Craig Williams, ahead of Martin Shirley and his Shield. Shield's currently where he started, so he's not made any progress, but he's not lost any places either. Damien Harris is up 3 places, Craig Williams is up 2. That's about it really for moves. There's Shirley now on the defensive from Williams, and that Audi just getting frustrated as we're into the second half of this first race of the evening.
Yeah, let's see if we see another hopeful dive into Surtees, because he's certainly close enough to be able to make that move, and he does look for it, actually sends it deep on the brakes into there, but can't quite maintain the overlap. Oh, it just gets away from him through the exit of the corner. Now Craig just has to sit in the slipstream of Shirley, but I don't think he'll have the opportunity here to the middle sector. It's so difficult to go side by side through the left-hand apexes there, but the guys ahead are trying to get it done anyway. Oh, Sakovic almost getting tagged around. He's out into the grass.
That's not exactly where you want to be, Majek. He's tried to actually get the run back on Damien Harris, who took the opportunity of that little mistake between Bickley and Sakovic. And you're right, running 2x2 through Hawthorne is not that easy to do. Again, you compromise both cars by running 2 wide through Hawthorns at the bottom of Pilgrim's Drop, and that's what has just caused Sakovic to have that little moment and allow Damien Harris to move forward. And here comes Andy Shield now on Sakovic. Sakovic's front tyres, having lit them up with giving it sort of a boot full of throttle and opposite lock, as Williams now down the inside into paddock. Sakovic's tyres will be a little bit warmer than you would like them to be, as now Jaworski's making a move on Shirley.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all action back here in the pack. I mean, if you're wondering why we're not focusing on anyone inside the top 10, no one really inside the top 10 is having any battling at the moment, and some of them are actually relatively far apart from each other. It's just these guys outside the top 10 that are giving us all the battles here for the moment. Pro drivers, AM drivers, all involved in this one here at the moment. So it's great to see them. The closest battle that we see inside the top 10 might actually be for P3, because Setsos and Gilman are just over 0.2 of a second away from each other there.
Now Gilman's got to be canny about this, because he doesn't want to fight too hard with Setsos, as he's having a little bit of internet problems there, as Gilman actually. But he doesn't want to fight too hard of Setsos, because that will bring Jack Sedgwick and Stefan Scheller into this third place, final step of the podium battle. And you've really got to be careful with it and not to slow each other down to bring those drivers into that one. So Gilman is in a good spot now in 4th place, with Craig Williams, what's that, 10 spots back down in 14th. So the AM driver who's leading the championship of Gilman is in a very good spot right now in this first race.
He is in a very good spot. I mean, we've kind of become used to these decent performances from the 85 over the last while. Things have gone pretty well in terms of AM Championship at the moment. Of course, leading coming into the, not by much, but leading and most importantly in this race, a bunch of positions ahead of Craig Williams.
Yeah, crucial. And if you are new to the championship and you think, well, why is he even bothering fighting these pro drivers? You score the points for the position that you finish in. So it's 1 points table. So because Gilman's in 4th place, he will get 4th place points, which in context of AM, that's actually quite big, really, for you to get those types of finishes. Here's Harris, still fighting with Magic Sakovic, so he hasn't been able to get past Bickley, and he hasn't been able to fight off Sakovic in all of this. So don't write off the young Polish driver in Magic Sakovic from making some moves there on Damien.
I mean, I guess he lost these 2 positions actively fighting with Bickley. Excuse me, not with Bickley. With yeah, it was with Bickley. There we go. Yes. I do know what I'm talking about. Fighting with him through Hawthorns, and unfortunately there was a little bit of contact that sent Sakovic into the grass. But I guess he's very thankful of the new iRacing grass update, because otherwise that would have been maybe a more catastrophic incident than it was.
Williams is ahead of Shield now, so another gain of position for Craig. He's up 4 places now, and that means up into 13th for the Was Cooking Racing Adventures. Was Cooking by CSS car, sorry, as Martin Shirley and Slavomir Jaworski continuing their fight for 15th and 16th place as they drop down Pilgrim's Drop, the site of that awful accident that Johnny Herbert had decades ago now. It makes me feel like an old man thinking about it, but it is a famous point of this track, and the start of an incredible comeback. Speaking of comebacks, here comes Shirley down the inside. Oh, it's a bit of a squeeze, leaving the room between each other just, and Jaworski loses the place in the end with 3 minutes to go in this race. It's still Ross McFarlane ahead of Wojciech Savinovic. Cedra Setsos is in 3rd, and look at this, Bickley fighting off Harris. Here comes Sakovic. I said Harris hadn't been able to fight him off. He's down the inside, and Craig Williams now is trying to follow Sakovic through here. Oh, a little bit of a rub between Sakovic and Harris. There goes Williams. He's gained a couple of places. Now Andy Scheel is getting involved. 3 wide into Druid's corner. That can't end well, but fortunately, everybody leaves room, and it does.
Yeah, continues 2 wide into Graham Milbendo. Scheel around the outside. Got to be careful not to run out of road there. Look at Harris. He's looking for the inside. He's looking for the 3 wide in towards Surtees here. 3 wide for the 2nd time in a single lap between all the leads, as we see Scheel having to back out of all of it. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the aggression that these guys are displaying here at the moment. Sakovic and Harris will continue with the overlap all the way in towards Hawthorns Bend here. But we see Sakovic on the inside getting the advantage. Harris dropped out of it, but he's not completely out of it, as he's still looking aggressive in through Westfield now as they go down Dingledale.
Oh, Sakovic has just left the door slightly ajar. Here comes an Audi-sized foot to kick that door open, but he's still alongside his Sakovic. He'll be compromised through this corner. Harris could get the run out of the corner. It gives him the inside in through clearways into the Jim Clark curve, and here comes Scheel now getting involved in the 3M car. But no, Damien Harris finally gets the move done, but all of that has allowed Craig Williams to clear 3.5 seconds ahead of these guys.
Yeah, and we've got a minute remaining, so Craig might be tempted to go for a move on Bickley here. He looks for the inside. It's covered off though by the number 24. Well defended by Bickley there. Everyone else line of stern coming through there. I think we still got another lap after this one though, considering where the leaders are out on circuit. There's Ross.
It is going to be tight if it isn't. I mean, at the line, it was 18 minutes and 25 seconds, and they've been doing 1 minute 31, so we should get another lap in this race here. So, yeah, definitely these drivers have been pushing hard all race and been giving us some tremendous entertainment. Rosberg Fallon though, 20 seconds to go as he goes underneath the bridge through clearways and into Jim Clark curve onto the Sir Jack Brabham straight. And across the line he will go, and he will get the white flag this time. One more lap to go. Sindre Setsource isn't set in third place, but I think Gilman's just going to hold position perhaps. But meanwhile, Bickley, Williams, you've got Harris and Sakovic as well. They're still battling away further down the field, so Williams has just dropped back a little bit from Bickley. Meanwhile, Sakovic and Harris are together along with Shield, Jaworski and Shirley, and that's actually allowed Elliot Roberts to catch up to the back of them with all this fighting that's been going on. So the last lap, and Elliot's going, oh, I've got some friends. Oh, as he runs wide through the gravel.
Yeah, maybe no friends anymore. As we continue on this final lap, things still bunched together here back in the pack. I'm still looking at the Gilman situation, and in fact it is Cedric that's on the back of him now, but there's very limited overtaking opportunities here at the back end of the lap.
To come through then and heading towards the end of this race. It's been an entertaining opening race as this one, and certainly plenty of fights galore, but more in the bottom half of your field. But your race leader is coming into the final corner right now. Ross McFarlane through that final corner in his Pure Sims Esports Hyundai Veloster. It's a win in round number 28 of the World Touring Car Series. Flash of the headlights, he's happy with that one, with Savinovic and Setsource in third and fourth. Andreas Gilman getting the top AM position here in fourth place. Still fighting going on. Craig Williams, he knows that championship points are crucial. Can the grunt of that Audi get him alongside? The answer is no. So Stuart Bickley will beat out Williams for second place in AM as the rest come through across the line. But my goodness, that was a good opening race of the evening, and certainly an enjoyable one, that is for sure. Andreas Gilman takes your AM win, Ross McFarlane takes your overall win, and now we get to spin the wheel and see who it is who will take pole position in race number 2 of the evening. Now, of course, those positions are from 12 to 24 in the wheel here. So, of course, with 17 cars, that means you could effectively have a full reverse grid. And Elliot Roberts is going to be absolutely spitting feathers at the screen right now in seeing that one, because 16 is the number that has been drawn. One car short of a full reverse grid. But let's take you through your provisional race results here for round number 28 of the World Touring Car Series. Ross McFarlane then, who takes the win in his Pure Sims Esports Hyundai Veloster, with Wojciech Savinovic for Semper Racing in second, not able to fight with Ross. They pulled away from Sindre Setsource in his Was Cooking Racing Adventures Audi in third. Andreas Gilman in Impulse Racing get another AM win here. Fourth place in that Honda. Very good result for Impulse Racing. Jack Cedric ahead of Stefan Scheller with David Baker. Dan Martin and Jake Blackall in ninth, with Stuart Bickley in his AI race summaries by DCW Racing Blue Car, rounding out the top 10 and finishing second on the AM podium. Third place in the AM podium and 11th placed overall is Craig Williams in his Was Cooking by CSS Audi. Damien Harris ahead of Maciej Sakovic, Andy Shield, and then Slavomir Jaworski. Martin Shirley it will be who gets the pole position for race number 2 of the evening, and Elliot Roberts will be the one who misses out on that pole, starts from the back of the grid. So that is the first race of the evening done, and certainly one that has been really genuinely really entertaining first race to watch.
Yeah, we don't have to have battles at the front of the field to have an entertaining race. You know, that was the vast majority of that was back half of the field, and they were racing like it was for the win. It was great to see those guys, give it their all out there, especially with the multiple instances of 3 wide that we had over the course of that one as well. It does mean that those very same guys that you saw throughout that race battling, now, early in race 2 at least, they'll be battling towards the front, right?
Yeah, they're going to be giving us that entertainment this time at the front of the field rather than back. And we've got that added element, of course, of the quicker drivers who, like Rosberg Fallon and Wojciech Savinovic, who just pulled away from the front. They're now going to have to work their way through this field. And we've seen there are overtaking opportunities here at Brands Hatch, but it's not the easiest to overtake at.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, you have obviously that opportunity in towards Druids, but that isn't a guarantee move whatsoever, because you can fight pretty easily on either line coming through there, and as long as you hold the inside in towards Grey Mill Bend, you're generally okay. But that's the most obvious opportunity, of course. I mean, we saw a couple of moves in towards Surtees. Again, you get mixed results with that. It requires a big commitment to make that happen, and it requires big commitment elsewhere on the circuit to be able to get by as well in towards Westfield. If you hold the inside there, maybe you might have a chance of getting clear through Hawthorns and then in towards Westfield. But again, it's very, very risky because there's not a lot of places to go at this circuit. You dip 2 tyres out of line, that's the grass. So it's not as dangerous as it used to be, but it's still something you have to be conscious of.
It is certainly definitely something that you need to be conscious of. It's a tricky track, is this one. I can tell you that back in 2015, when I was a part of what was then CQR, it's now Pure Sims Esports, there was a session where me, Ash Sutton, I think it was Pete Newman as well, we spent an hour and a half just racing just in a practice session, racing each other around here, because Ash was getting ready for the then Clio Cup Championship finale back in 2015, and he was just getting practice of what works around here, and what better place than in the sim. And it worked out for him, because come race day he was making moves into Surtees that nobody else was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great to see the parallels being drawn, and how useful the sim driving is for the real world driving. I mean, you brought up that example with Sutton, which I find is awesome, that he found a place to overtake on iRacing, then he applied it to real world, and all the other drivers were like, wait, you can overtake there? But because he found
it was a known overtaking spot, but it was a very tricky one to get right, and Sutton with that practice was just able to get that muscle memory.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously you have Verstappen is the first one that comes to mind. When he's not real life racing, it seems like he's sim racing, and he's getting so much more practice, so much more consistency than his peers in the Formula 1 circuit, that potentially it might be a contributing factor. I'm not saying it's everything, but it'll be a contributing factor to his consistency over the course of a Grand Prix length race and things like that. So because he's done these laps so many times, potentially in different cars, which helps his versatility as well. So yeah, we can sing the praises of sim racing all day, couldn't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I did see somebody post online that they shared a session with Antonio Giovinazzi and Rubens Barrichello, and they were like, "Oh my goodness, hi guys!" and it was, I've been in sessions with these drivers as well, and it's cool to see them. But then when it comes to the racing, you've got to be on it and trying to compete against these people, but. Coming into the second race then of the evening, we've got this big reverse grid, 16 of the 17 cars reverse here. Does this give an opportunity to someone like Craig Williams, who was the biggest mover in that last race, 6 places gained? Does this give him an opportunity to get one back now on Andreas Gilman?
It could be. I'm never going to say never. I never would underestimate Craig's performances in second and third races. I think that has been obvious over the course of the past 2 seasons at least. I think it's more of a chance, though, potentially for Damon Harris. But we saw how much he struggled in that race in terms of trying to get past Bickley, didn't we? And he still has to gain a couple positions if he wants to get on the podium, get a race win here today. Potentially a good start may contribute to that. If he's able to find a line through, if there's an incident or something like that at the front of the field, then maybe he'd be in a good position. But I think if Harris can just sort of solve that overtaking issue that we saw in race 1, he definitely has the clear air pace to run up front here in race 2.
Certainly does have that opportunity to be able to do that. But with that said, what we will do is just step aside for just a few moments because the second race of the evening is coming up here in the World Touring Car Series. Let's hear from the series sponsors. Welcome back to coverage of rounds number 28 to 30 of the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV. Got Paul Smith and Conor Maddock in the commentary box here for the second race of the evening. 3 20-minute races of action for you all here today. And Connery, conditions, I'm glad you brought them up, are a bit more, well, not like Brands Hatch pretty much the whole of the year.
Yeah, that's about as high as I've seen it on Brands Hatch. I'll be completely honest. 38 degrees track temp. That is spicy. Completely clear skies. That's why the track temp is so high. But yeah, this will be a very interesting challenge for these guys. It's going to be like an ice skating rink out there. Tires are not going to feel very good after 20 minutes of racing, so this is going to be an interesting one, let's just say that.
Well, there's going to be an element of tyre preservation go on out there, and the drivers are just getting adjusted to those conditions. But Brands Hatch, it has some really challenging corners on this track that puts a lot of load on the front left corner. Paddock Hill Bend is one, Hawthorne, Westfield, you've got the run through Dingle Dell up to Sheen, and then Clark Curve. 5 corners of this 9-corner track really put a good load through that front left. Druids not so much. Still, there's a big load, especially through these faster corners at Hawthorne and Westfield.
Yeah, so that right front is going to get hammered, is what I'm hearing at this circuit with these track conditions. So it's another little challenge for these drivers. It's not the temperatures themselves is not uncommon, but maybe it's a bit uncommon for Brands Hatch. But so the drivers should know how to deal with these situations. They're all incredibly experienced touring car drivers. They've driven in potentially 50-degree track temps before, like you can get at some circuits. I know Interlagos is pretty common for high 40s into 50s degrees track temps. But yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy out there, and I think they're very thankful of not having to race this one for real in those sorts of conditions.
But it's not too dissimilar from Brands Hatch this weekend, because the air temperature there this weekend was actually 24 degrees on Sunday for the first race of the British Touring Car Championship. So the air temperature certainly is one that you can see at Brands Hatch normally at some point in the summer, not in October, but there you go, that's the current British weather for you. Minute and a half to go in qualifying, in practice, and I'm just thinking back now, it was either in this series or another series that I raced in. I once raced in touring cars 58 degrees track temperature at Interlagos. That was not fun at all. I think we actually took the camber rate down from in the 3 degrees down to about 1. Yeah, we took some camber off of the front tyres just to try and help preserve them and not overheat them. But yeah, it was not a fun day, that one.
Yeah, it's tricky conditions, and 58 is probably about the highest that I've seen it in a session. I know it can go a little bit higher than that. I know there's some guys on the ovals that have seen over 60 before. But it is very, very rare, just like how fog is pretty rare here in iRacing, even though it does exist. But yeah, it's. I imagine these guys aren't changing setups for these conditions. I don't think they're quite that bad.
You might wind a couple of tenths of a degree out of the camber on the front tyres, because of course the front tyres are doing all the steering and the braking, and Ross McFarlane giving us a demonstration of the iRacing damage model as well on these cars. But drivers are getting themselves set then for the second race of the evening. 17 drivers will be taking part, and we'll be heading on over to the grid in just a few moments' time to take us through what will be another 20 minutes of action here in the World Touring Car Series. Let's take a look then at that grid, and it is Martin Shirley for RD Sim Sport, starting from pole position. Starting alongside him for Semper Racing is Slavomir Jaworski. Andy Shield for 3M UK is in row number 2, alongside him as the team mad driver of Maciej Sakovic. Damien Harris and Craig Williams share row number 3. Fourth row of the grid, Stuart Bickley with Jake Blackhall alongside him. Row 5 is Dan Martin and David Baker. Sixth row of the grid, Stefan Scheller and Jack Sedgwick. Row 7 is Andreas Gilman, your top AM from race number 1, and Sindra Setsors. Wojciech Savinovic and Ross McFarlane, your race 1 winner, starting on row number 8, and all on his own on row number 9. In 17th place, just missing out on the reverse grid, is Elliot Roberts. Drivers preparing themselves. I did mention that pole position is not the place to start from, and if we've got a very quick chance to look from Martin Shirley's on board on his roll bar camera or something like that, it is a steep hill that you start from pole position, whereas second place it's a bit less of a hill and you get a better launch. That's why in race number 1 we mentioned look out for second place, and I will say that again for Slavomir Jaworski, because he has got a great chance of getting a good launch off the start of the grid. But the drivers, they're all queued up on the grid, and they will be getting themselves set for the start of race number 2 of the evening. This is round number 29 of the World Touring Car Series Season 4. Delighted to have you all along here for that. The revs will rise Drivers look to the starters, gantry. And away we go, and it's a good start actually from Martin Shirley. Wheel spin from Jaworski. Scuppers any chances, it's 3 wide, and it's contact immediately. Harris was going to the inside. It was Shield who was the car in the middle with nowhere to go, and Jaworski is the one that loses out from second to last in one corner at the start of the race. We plunge downhill into Graham Hill Bend for the start of this one, but it is Martin Shirley ahead of Damien Harris. Harris wants to get a win here. He really does in his Audi. After winning last time out at VIR, he wants another victory under the belt for that Wave Italy car. Shield and Williams, they're battling once again as they plunge down Pilgrim's Drop. Here comes Harris to the outside and through. Gets the job done, and Martin Shirley for the lead.
Yeah, great pass. I said he needed a great start here, Paul, and Harris got it. He's up into the race lead at the halfway point of the first lap. Meanwhile, there's battling going on behind as Craig Williams tries to battle his way through. That was one of your picks for this for a top finish here in race 2, Paul. He's already on the hard charge, trying to lock on towards the back of Shield here. Shield's out wide through Sterling's though. Maybe a little bit of cold tyres coming into effect there as Craig Williams is clear in towards Jim Clark curve. Bickley not able to capitalise though, but what a chaotic first lap here.
Yeah, end of the first lap, and they're coming to the line. It's Damien Harris who leads. It's Martin Shirley, Maciej Sakovic going into turn at the first turn at Paddock Hill Bend side by side. It's Sakovic who takes the position in his Team Mad Honda, and now it is Shirley in third place. Stuart Bickley's getting a little bit freight trained there, out on the outside, and everybody is trying to follow down the inside at Druids. I just think it was Setsols who just missed out, but gets the cut back to Setsols. That's what Graham Hill Bend can do for you. Onto the brakes, into Surtees. That's another position lost for Stuart Bickley.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great race 2 start for Bickley. He will try to fight Setsols coming off Surtees here, down towards Pilgrim's Drop, but again, he's not gaining ground here to maintain the overlap in towards Hawthorne, so he'll have to duck back in line and try to cut his losses there down in 10th place. But it looks like everyone, apart from just in the back of shot there, McFarlane working his way through the field as all single file, but McFarlane attempting to slide through the field, trying to cut all the way through. He's gained a couple of spots from where he started, yes, but you know, definitely not as many as you would expect him to do at this stage.
As Savinovic has actually dropped all the way to the back of the field to Wojciech, not having a good race out there in the Semper Racing car, as we head on through the Brabham Straight once again. Across the line we go, and at the end of the lap, here's a look then at the start, and this is what happened to Jaworski then in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Harris got such a good launch, it's 3 into 1. I mean, to be fair to Jaworski, he doesn't know that Harris is there. Harris doesn't really know that Jaworski's on the outside, and Shield, well, he's got nowhere to go in that. It's a turn 1 incident.
Yeah, absolutely nowhere to go. It's quite frustrating. We have a little bit of dooring down the, well, not straight, but it for all intents and purposes is there, between Setsols and Scheller. I think we had quite enough of that in the past couple of races, so hopefully that doesn't continue into this.
Yeah, let's keep it nice and clean. We had a good opening race here. Let's not fall back into old habits, and Setsols then goes through. Martin Shirley has lost a place to Craig Williams, and in fact Shirley's going to lose a place to Andy Shearer's Scheller trying to get the inside. He's got a nose in there. I don't think you're alongside enough. Has to back out of it, but that will compromise him. But yeah, up near the front, Williams and Shield have made moves past Martin Shirley. So Shirley's down to 5th place now in the RD Simsport car. He's got Jake Blackhall behind him now, and Blackhall's got Sedgwick and Setsols following him in route. Here's a look back at the start once again, And this time, this is the perfect view because look at the launch that Harris gets at the start. Shields going towards Jaworski, and yeah, it was always going to be contact.
Yeah, Harris found a car's width and nothing more on the insides there off of that start. He was entitled to take it. Whether or not it was a good idea, well, remains to be seen, and remains to be seen what the stewards say. But yeah, that's I've very, very rarely seen 3 wide into Paddock Hill Bend work, and it looks like Shirley's losing yet more positions here, definitely out of position with that reverse grid and struggling to hold on to these spots.
It's a shame to see because Martin can put in some good displays, that is for sure, and the AM driver squabbling there with Jake Blackall's goal, got around the outside, a little bit of contact as checking up behind. Onto the brakes. You've got to remember with Jake, of course, that he is racing from Australia, so you have to give it a little bit extra space. Shirley goes wide. Now, I don't know if that was him just making a mistake or him redressing the position to Blackall. I don't know there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was more of a mistake. He went out into the grass to do that. I don't think he intended to lose at least more than one spot there. So, I mean, I guess he's out of the way of the thick of things now, so he can kind of relax just that little bit more and get on with his race instead of having to deal with a huge amount of faster drivers coming through on him. I just saw a little look there from Scheller, who is looking to get aggressive here with Blackall and carries a good run through Paddock Hill Bend as well. Opens up the inside for Druids. You got to be careful with it though. A little bit of air between the two of them. Scheller will be able to work his way through though. But you do have to be very, very careful and keep in mind the latency with the regions being so different.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Stefan racing here from mainland Europe and Germany, whereas Jake Blackall, the Antipodean, down in Australia. Stuart Bickley getting a little bit bullied there off the track at Surtees. And that allows Elliot Roberts, who is the bully, and Slavomir Jaworski to work their way through. One driver that hasn't been moving through is Andreas Gilman. He's in 15th right now. He's actually lost places from where he started here in this race. He's not having a fun day of it out there, Connery.
No, absolutely not. And he's got Dan Martin all over the back of him as well, which is not helping whatsoever. Although Martin, with a mistake through that sequence, does result in a little bit of air between the two of them through there. But out of Surtees now, this big line of cars. We've got Roberts now looking to the outside on Jaworski. Not able to get that done. We'll have another stab at it. Coming on towards the pit straight now. On the way in towards Paddock Hill Bend. I mean, Jaworski's going to hold the inside here. It does mean his line's slightly compromised, so his speed on exit might not be ideal, but oh, there's a big slide there from Roberts. He's going to lose a lot of ground, and now it might open up the opportunity for Bickley behind, but he comes off the move.
Oh, it's all tight there between them as Gilman has got Dan Martin going around the outside of Druids in towards Graham Hill Bend, and Martin now moves ahead of Gilman. Gilman's losing out to Craig Williams here, and in fact, Craig Williams, as you can see in the timing tower, is gaining on Maciej Sakovic. He could potentially be looking at a place here as Andy Shield loses 2 places to Cedric and Setsos.
Yeah, and continuing with wheel-to-wheel action. This time in towards Hawthorns. Roberts really drove it in hard. He's got to be careful on exit. He does dip 2 tyres into the grass, allows the RD Sim sports car to come back up underneath. In towards Westfield, careful with the gravel on the outside, through Dingledale now, everyone stacked up behind, looking to try and pick up the pieces in case it all goes wrong. In towards Dingledale corner itself, and Elliot Roberts is just about clear. Oh.
All tight once again at the back of the field as Jake Blackall moves over for his teammate in Ross McFarlane. I think he also moved over for David Baker. Baker, he's an outsider in the Pro Championship battle, and I don't think he's going to defend this move from Ross McFarlane too much. Down the inside goes Ross in his Veloster, and through he goes. Second place, Craig Williams moved to the inside of Druids, and that allows him to gain the place over Magic Sakovic. So Williams is going to be gaining points on the AM Championship leader after these opening 2 races if he stays where he is.
Martin Shirley trying to come back on Roberts. Oh, not sure what happened to Shirley through the middle of the apex there. I think he tried to back out of it, but I don't think everyone else behind was kind of aware of it. But Shirley drops towards the back of this train now after giving people a bit of a fright behind.
Yes, it was Gilman Savinovic who had that fright. Savinovic has got damage to the front of his car. So that might tell the tale of what's been going on with his race, that he's been struggling to move through. But certainly, it is intriguing and exciting to watch. Halfway through this race, Damien Harris, as Elliot Roberts now runs wide, and he tried to shut the door, but 2 went through. Oh, Savinovic off into the wall. That is his day, or at least his second race, pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, he'll try and get it back going, but that Honda is a write-off as far as I'm concerned. Drives it back onto circuit, but going to be in the last place here for Savinovic. And yeah, that suspension is completely kaput, as they would say. But let's have a look back at it.
Do you want to know the really interesting thing? Savinovic does not have a mechanical meatball warning flag. There's Roberts running wide through West. Oh, Savinovic has come across. His thought is clear on Roberts. Very little that Roberts can do there, in my opinion. I just think from that first look that we got there, Roberts is there. He can't go any more to the left. Savinovic has cut across him.
Yep, he has, and we'll just take another look at it because none of these cameras are giving us a good view whatsoever of exactly what happened there. So hopefully we can get another one. In fact, yeah, that's a little bit better. But yeah, there's just not enough room on the outside of the circuit there for 2 cars, and Savinovic coming out the worst there.
Yeah, a little bit of frustration coming in perhaps, but he's back up and running. He did take a fast repair, so decided to repair the car and gets back up and running. Harris and Williams, 2 Audis, first and second place. Harris has got a 3-second lead over Craig Williams. And then we've got the battle for 3rd place. It's Magic Sakovic, who is 2nd place in AM. And then he's got Jack Sedgwick and Sidra Setsource 4th and 5th behind him as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. And Sedgwick then just putting the pressure on Sakovic, the Team Mad driver, the sole Team Mad driver, after Pete Harrod's no longer being available for them for the rest of the season. And Sakovic just having to be putting on a defensive display, but you've got to be careful because Sedgwick is a rapid driver who can pull moves on you.
He really is. You don't sleep on him whatsoever. You don't sleep on Setsource either, who is known to be on the aggressive side, shall we say. Really will only give you enough room and only enough room in battles. But you can see the guys going side by side ahead now. Cedric trying to challenge Sakovic, not going to get it done this time around. Setsource will just sit in behind as our little observer there, just for the moment. But again, do you think Sakovic is a cork in the bottle here? That might be an interesting point to raise, because he hasn't been able to keep up with the pace of Williams. He's 7 tenths off the second off the back now, after that pass being done. So I don't know, Cedric. I would have thought Cedric would have the faster clear air pace here.
You see, you do have to have a good gap of difference in terms of pace to be able to make a move. If you're only a tenth or so quicker than the car in front of you, it becomes very difficult to actually overtake them. I mean, the last lap, pretty much identical lap times from Sedgwick and Sakovic. Sakovic leaving the door open there into Druids. Now, is that Sakovic thinking, you know what, let's not lose the time? No, he isn't, because he's continuing this fight down the inside Graham Hill Bend. Now, Sedgwick can get the run out of Graham Hill Bend into Surtees, but again, Sakovic is on the inside. Great run around the outside, but not going to get that one done. And Setsource is almost bump drafting Sedgwick in front. Sedgwick needs these positions really in terms of his Pro Championship. It's not working for him with a quarter of the race remaining here.
Yeah, and he's going to go, look, just a single look to the inside of Westfield there, but no commitment in it whatsoever. But just to try and put Sakovic off potentially coming through that section as they wind their way through to the latter portions of the lap. We had a bit of a swap there. I think Shirley has had another little issue, another little blip, and now he's fallen about a second off the back of Elliot Roberts there. So not ideal. Meanwhile, well, just as you look away for it for 1 second, they're going wheel to wheel, and Cedric's actually been bullied out of line there a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a door bang, and through goes Setsource, and Setsource looks to the inside. Sakovic has left that door open. It's a mistake from Sakovic, or is it? Can he get the cut under? It's the classic comeback move at Brands Hatch, out of Paddock-Hill Bend, into the brakes of Druids, and they're still absolutely together now. Sedgwick will want to follow his compatriot Setsource through here, and there you go. The door was slightly ajar, thank you very much. He's back to where he was before that happened at Clark Curve.
It's brought Andy Shield into it as well, so Shield around the outside at Surtees, not quite going to make that work. Could tuck back into the slipstream and hope for a move up into Hawthorns, but I think Sakovic is feeling just a little bit of the edge of the slipstream from the back of Cedric's car. But look at the gaggle of cars behind this. We got a trio of Pure Sims esports as well. McFarlane, Baker, Blackhall, all wanting to gain positions late on in this race.
Yeah, 3 minutes 20 remaining in the second race of the evening. Don't forget, there is one more race to come here tonight, so do stick around because you'll not want to miss that one, that is for sure. Ross McFarlane 8th place right now, championship contender Jack Sedgwick in 4th, not that far ahead, so it was close coming into this round of the championship in the points, just 9 points separating McFarlane and Sedgwick, but crucially for McFarlane, he got the race win in race number 1. He's looking for some good points again in this second race. Through Paddock-Hill Bend and up towards Druids. You can brake a little bit later than you think you can into Druids because it's an uphill braking zone. And just holding alongside Scheller. Here comes McFarlane down the inside. Scheller's going to get the run on the outside though. McFarlane keeps the nose to the inside in his Pure Sims Esports Hyundai Veloster. The Team Hurtigbalt Hyundai Elantra is still there alongside. He's not giving this one up without a fight, is Scheller.
No, he's not. They'll bring it basically level on the way down in towards Pilgrim's Grub, although Scheller does have now half a car length advantage in towards Hawthorns. McFarlane potentially going to look for the swap back underneath. No, he's just going to have to stay in line, although he does show the nose into the next right-hander. Again, no commitment, but time is of the essence now. Only 1:40 left in the race, and you can see how eager McFarlane is to try and get by on this one because he knows that, the championship is still pretty close, and Cedric's currently getting points over it.
In the first race of the evening, they were doing about 1:31s. They're doing 1:32s, 33s. That tells you that the track temperature is having an effect in this second race. Across the line goes Damien Harris. Now, I think we should have, this is the white flag, it is, because Barney the flag man, you saw him there, waving the white flag. McFarlane to the inside of Paddock-Hill Bend. Can he get the move done into Druids? He should be clear. And the answer is yes. Finally, Ross McFarlane makes his way through, but that was extremely hard work, and Stefan Scheller was not going to give that one up without a fight.
Not at all, and why should he? That's my conclusion on that one. You can defend as hard as you want. It's not like you're lap traffic or anything. So that's all fair as far as I'm concerned. It splits the Pure Sims trio up just that slight amount. Scheller could potentially have a move back on McFarlane potentially a little bit later on in this lap, as long as he covers off a potential look from Baker as well, who would like to follow through the tyre tracks of McFarlane. 20 seconds left on the clock here at Brands Hatch for our second race of the evening. We've got one more to go after this one. Here's Damien Harris. Well, I picked him for the race win. I guess I know what I'm talking about, Paul.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. As Damien Harris, come on, those commentators, we don't know anything. But the Wave Italy driver, I know one thing, he will be delighted by this because Damien Harris wins the second race of the evening, round 29 of the World Touring Car Series, as he finishes the race. Craig Williams, second place, is the top AM in this race, and he'll be delighted with that in his championship fight against Andreas Gilman. Gilman in the end comes across the line in 12th, so he'll be disappointed not to have actually gained that many positions in that race, just one place gained.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened to Gilman, to be completely honest. I don't think he was involved in any incident, so, and I don't spot maybe a little bit of front left damage there, excuse me. Tiny amount though, hardly noticeable, but yeah, it's a weird number one for Gilman. A little bit of an off day, shall we say, for one of the AM Championship contenders here. But we have to do the honours once again here, Paul. We have to go for the spinny wheel, which will be imminent.
Yeah, absolutely. One more spin of the wheel tonight to be able to decide who will be starting on pole position. Remember, 17 or higher will be a full reverse grid. Every driver finished that race, so all are eligible. And oh my goodness, it is not going to be a full reverse grid. It's going to be 15th, and one driver will be delighted by that. It's the driver who missed out on the reverse grid pole for this race that we just had. So we'll confirm that in the provisional race results here from round 29 of the World Touring Car Series. It's Audi's first, second, third and fourth. Damien Harris for Wave Italy wins the race over Craig Williams in his Was Cooking by CSS car in second place. He takes the AM win in race number 2 of the evening. Sintra Setsource for Was Cooking Racing Adventures in third, ahead of Jack Sedgwick for Was Cooking by CSS in fourth. Magic Sakovic for Team Mad, he's fifth but finishes second place in AM, ahead of Andy Shield for 3M UK, third place in AM for Andy. Ross McFarlane, championship leader coming into this week, he is in seventh ahead of Stefan Scheller, David Baker and Jake Blackhall rounding out the top 10. 11th place for Slavomir Jaworski, with Andreas Gilman finishing 12th. Stuart Bickley 13th ahead of Dan Martin, with Elliot Roberts finally getting that reverse grid pole position for him tonight. He'll be delighted to be starting from the front row, ahead of Martin Shirley and Wojciech Savinovic, who'll be starting at the back of the field. So that is your provisional race results for race number 2 of the evening. But of course, we have one more race to come here, Connery. But again, race number 2 of the evening here at Brands Hatch, Connery, and a really entertaining race.
Yeah, action-packed. There weren't that many lulls in that event, was there? Were there? It was a pretty entertaining affair throughout, which is a very, very positive sign for things to come here in this one. It's going to be another reverse grid. I think in the case of this one, of course, Roberts will be happy about finally getting the reverse grid pole, but I think potentially Martin Shirley might be a little happy about this because he's not in the thick of things again at the front of the field trying to hold on. He could just mind his own business at the back of the grid and make that slow and steady progress and not be having to be on edge constantly looking in mirrors waiting for the next car to send it on you.
Yeah, he did kind of get bullied out of the way, did Martin in that second race, finishes 16th. Savinovic will be thinking, oh my goodness, I've got it all to do again in this third and final race of the evening. But big result, I think, for Craig Williams after he finished in top 10 in race number 1 of the evening. Gets second place here. Gilman, a 4th place and a 12th place this evening. That very much is going to be interesting to see how that AM Championship battle goes.
Yeah, it is. It's really a back and forth affair, isn't it? At the moment, it's been pretty exciting for the last couple of rounds of this season. So we hope that continues coming into these final events. Because remember, we've got the final race at Brands Hatch, then we move on to Donington, then we move on towards Silverstone on October 26th. There for the very end of the season, where we are crowning the champions, of course. But things are not clear cut at the moment. Even the pro standings are not clear cut at the moment, because we're seeing again this back and forth between Ross McFarlane and Jack Sedgwick, which I think will be the two coming into the final couple of rounds that will be challenging it. I think Setzels and Baker are a little bit too far off at this stage. So that's an interesting predicament. We've also, got some little battles, maybe further down in the teams championship as well. We got DCW Racing Yellow and Impulse Racing that are 3 points away from each other in the Pro-Am team standings, which is insane when you consider one of them is on 1,776 points, which, if there's an American part of that team, well, there we go. And if we got DCW Racing, Impulse Racing on 1,773. So interesting, very interesting.
Certainly is. Although AI Race Summaries DCW Racing Yellow are not competing tonight. It's just the blue driver Stuart Bickley who's taking part tonight. So no points being scored for the yellow team. But we are getting ourselves set towards the third and final race of the evening. We've got another 20 minutes of action. We've got a big reverse grid again. Surely we can get 3 races in a row being really entertaining.
Yeah.
I said at the start, didn't I? I said I was positive, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, we had no retirements in the first race, actually. I mean, it helps that we have fast repairs, but we didn't have anyone finish outside the leading lap at the same time. So, yeah, that's all positive. We've had no really silly incidents. I mean, every race is going to have incidents. That's just par for the course for motorsport. But we've had no completely weird, interesting decisions being made. So yeah, I think this is. I have a positive vibe going into this final round. Of course, they can all ruin it at the last moment, but we will just put that aside, and let's cling on to that hope.
Well, we will be hopeful in the commentary box here, but we will step aside for just a few moments because we've got the final race of the evening coming up for you here in the World Touring Car Series. But in the meantime, let's hear from the series sponsors. Welcome back then to coverage of the World Touring Car Series here on RaceSpotTV for this round number 30 of the Season 4 of this championship. Delighted to have you all along here. Paul Smith and Conor Maddock in the commentary box for you, and those conditions, they have cooled down quite a bit on track compared to race number 2 of the evening. Air temperature's 1 degree higher though, but the part of the cloudy sky has really helped cool things off.
It's quite windy though. 18 kilometers an hour, that's nothing to be sniffed at. So yeah, it's intriguing. Not that it affects these cars too much. I mean, there's a debate about how much it affects any given car on iRacing, but it's certainly something to note, but it's not really something you can do much about, really.
Yeah,
I know the oval guys care a lot more about it.
Yeah, it affects higher downforce vehicles, that is for sure. So like your Formula, your higher Formula cars and your top line prototypes as well. Those are affected more by that wind than, say, the touring cars here. So but still, those drivers, if there's, say, like a tailwind down a straight, it can really give them just a little bit of a push, and vice versa. If you've got a headwind and you've got a slipstream of the car in front, it actually gives it more of an effect.
Yeah, back when I was really into my oval racing as part of a team, we would, I think it was at Homestead when we had a really, really important race where in a league, and it was basically make or break. We found out that a change of the winds from one direction to another in towards, I think it was turn 3 at the time, was really giving us mega trouble, and we couldn't figure it out until we looked at the wind and we were like, wait, if the wind goes this way, it's fine. If the wind goes this way, it doesn't. So we have to be aware of that and check it once the actual session comes up and make the right setup adjustments for it. So yeah, that's just a little tidbit. I don't know how relevant it is in oval racing these days, but at least when I was racing a bit more actively, that's those little edges that you need to get, especially when you only have debatably 4 corners.
Yeah, it will have an effect, that is for sure. So yeah, definitely we would have to see. But with these touring cars, you're just not as affected quite as much here. So yeah, definitely. As I say, if you've got a headwind and you've got a slipstream of the car in front, you will feel it a bit more advantageous than if it was a tailwind, that is for sure. Drivers have got a minute to go, and Elliot Roberts, like I say, he thought he'd missed out after race 1, getting the reverse grid finishing 1 place ahead of him. But race 2 finally gets that reverse grid draw to start him on pole position here for race 3.
Yeah. And, well, let's see what he can do from that position, because it did seem like he had a decent amount of pace behind the wheel. It's just that he was getting a little bit frustrated behind a bit of the traffic that he was involved in, and made a couple of errors as a result, which meant he didn't get a representative result out of both the races that we've had so far. So, but he's got the best chance possible now in race 3 to get it done. Of course, you've mentioned the intricacies of trying to start from pole position here at Brands Hatch. It's not the easiest thing in the world, so he'll have to contend with that. But if he gets clear, then everything's looking very, very positive.
That Audi does have a very good start, though. I will say it has such a good launch. Does that Audi? So definitely, if anything can deal with that and mitigate that that hill at pole position, then certainly it is that Audi RS3 LMS TCR car. But we will be heading ourselves into the final race session of the evening, and we will see how our grid lines up. So it is going to be Elliot Roberts for What's Cooking Racing Adventures, who starts on pole position. Alongside him is the RD SimSport driver of Dan Martin. Row number 2 is shared by Stuart Bickley and Andreas Gilman. So Gilman potentially has got a good shout of some big points again in AM. Slavomir Jaworski and Jake Blackhall on row number 3. Fourth row of the grid is shared by David Baker and Stefan Scheller. Ross McFarlane and Andy Shield on row number 5, with Maciej Sakovic and Jack Sedgwick in row number 6. Seventh row of the grid is Andrei Setsos and Craig Williams. Damien Harris, your winner from race 2. Look out for him making a good Demon launch. He starts from row number 8 alongside him, Martin Shirley. And Wojciech Savinovic, he'll be looking for a better final race of the evening. He's starting right at the back in 17th place. Last race of the evening here in the World Touring Car Series on RaceSpotTV. And well, we should have an absolute cracker for you, with a real mixed up grid and the possibility of some different positions. Connery, final thoughts just going into this final race of the evening? It should be a good one, shouldn't it?
It should be. And I was going to mention, Dan Martin's been a bit quiet over the course of these past 2 races. Hasn't been putting up the performances that we're used to seeing from him in this season of the Touring Car Championship. So let's see what he can do from the front row.
Certainly, RD Sim Sport looking for a good result here from Dan Martin, but the drivers will be looking towards the starters gantry for this round number 30 of the World Touring Car Series. Engine revs are rising, and away we go for the start, and it's a demon launch from Elliot Roberts in that Audi. I said it was good off the line, and it proved to be so, with Dan Martin second, Stuart Bickley in third, and then Slavomir Jaworski is battling with Andreas Gilman. Gilman stays in 4th place then, as we head into Druids for the first time in this final race of the evening. Out the Druids we go, plunge downhill into Graham Hill Bend, as we've still got 2 wide action. Dave Baker and Jaworski side by side, Scheller and that's going to be the Hyundai Veloster of Ross McFarlane coming through on Scheller. So McFarlane's going to place, and well, Jaworski ran a little bit wide out of Surtees, and now David Baker, he's got to choose. Does he hold up his teammate or hold up Jaworski? Well, Jaworski's got to go to the inside. McFarlane to the outside on cold tyres. A little bit of a wiggle through Hawthorne into Westfield, and they're still absolutely neck and neck through Westfield, trying to carry the speed downhill, and McFarlane gets ahead, carried the speed through Westfield and into Sheen for the first time. And it's neck and neck with Scheller and Setsos then, as they go through Stirling's for the first time. But at the front, Elliot Roberts leads Dan Martin by half a second. Andreas Gilman, 3rd place ahead of Stuart Bickley.
Yeah, great start there from Roberts, 0.4 of a second ahead of the rest of the field. It was a great effort from McFarlane to try and slide this way through the pack as well. It was a bit of a daring move. You saw that the drivers were sliding around a little bit on the colder tyres, coming through the triple right-hander in the middle sector. Dan Martin going for the race lead, though, in towards Druids. Has he got it? I think he has.
Oh, fantastic stuff from Martin to get the lead then over Roberts. Roberts holds on to 2nd place because Gilman has to slot in behind. Must have been just a little bit of a mistake for Roberts to run it deep into Druids, and that just allowed Martin to get the lead in that RD Sim Sport Honda. Oh, Jaworski's losing more places to Sindre Setsos now. Stefan Scheller's involved in that one as well, as they plunge down Pilgrim's Drop. A few years ago, we had an almighty accident there in another Touring Car Series that quite a lot of these drivers raced in, and myself. But through goes Scheller into Westfield and gets that move done and holds on to the place.
Yeah, he pushed a little wide there, but it was well saved for the Team Heusig-Feld number 401. Everyone else stacked up behind this one. Shield's got to be careful. I saw that car rotate. I was wondering if he was going to gather it up, and with a puff of smoke he does, coming out of Stirling's Bend, and a couple of lost positions as well.
Yeah, just got a wheel onto the grass, didn't he, onto the braking zone, and back end slipped around, and that was all she wrote, and he goes around. I will point out that, well, Roberts is under pressure from Gilman, but I will say this, in fact, Gilman is going to go down the inside of Roberts now, so position gained, and Roberts gives a little bit of a rub back. That was all fair, that was fine, just a little bit of a touch up and rub. But I will say, Sindre Setsos, big mover in the field, up 6 places already.
Yeah, very well done. I mean, for the faster guys, it seems like it's been a bit easier to work their way through in this third race. Could that be due to the much cooler track conditions, giving them a few more options, a little bit more performance?
It could well be, actually, yeah. As you say, you're able to push the car and the tyres just that little bit more with it being cooler. Baker to the inside of Westfield. Roberts can try and hold, and look at this, McFarlane's trying to follow him through. I thought we were going to get the Jake Hill move there on the grass from McFarlane, but no. Comes into line behind his teammate. Oh, it's all stacking up here in this fight right now. Bickler's involved in this one, so Setsos, Scheller as well, as they're heading through towards the Jim Clark curve once again. Through the right-hander, Setsos holds on to his place over Scheller, but that was all getting a little bit stacked up there, and McFarlane, he wants to move forward in all of this. He wants to, again, take advantage of Cedric being behind him, as now Baker looking to get the move done on Roberts, and here comes McFarlane. There's a flash of the headlights as well. Baker's not happy. McFarlane, though, comes through.
Yeah, he does, and we just saw Roberts' teammate there of Setsos have a little bit of an issue getting out of Druids and having another little push wide through Graham Milben. It's not catastrophic by any means, and barely loses him any time there in towards Surtees, and locked onto the back of Baker now. So Baker from attack to defence, and then even more defending as he has to try and keep the 696 behind.
As they come now into Hawthorns once again. So Baker now will be wanting to do a little bit of a defensive display over Sindre Setsos here to try and help and protect his teammate Ross McFarlane, to be able to gain those points over the rest of his championship rivals. Roberts runs over the grass there on the exit of Sheen. Just look how that Hyundai Veloster just seems to rotate just that little bit better than the Audi into the brakes. Trying to get the cut under. This is the classic move on the exit of the Jim Clark curve. Duck under the inside, get alongside so that when you go into Paddock Hill Bend, you can just out-brake. Don't squeeze each other, you don't need to. Setsos with a big dive. Big send on David Baker. Baker's trying to take it back, but he doesn't. Meanwhile, Roberts still hanging on. This is two Was Cooking Racing Adventures and two Pure Sims cars battling it out.
Ooh, Roberts in the process of backing out for Setsos, almost dropped him back into the clutches of Baker. Baker's going to try and capitalise on that now. Here comes Jack Cedric down the inside at Surtees over the Pure Sims Esports car. I think he'll just about get that one done. Can he get a good enough exit though? No, he has to cut it shallow because of that car on the outside.
Oh, this is tremendous stuff. Final race of the evening. Plunge downhill again at Pilgrim's Drop. Elliot Roberts holding that inside line. Cedric's going to go the long way around, and Roberts goes entirely off the track. Careful if you rejoin it, bang! Into the back of Bickley. Hopefully Bickley doesn't collect anyone, and amazingly, he does not. Great job.
Battles continue on though. Baker versus Cedric. This time around, Cedric out into the grass, able to rejoin back into a battle with Scheller around the outside of Sterling's, and Scheller keeps that position on lock. But oh, that got very, very sketchy very, very quickly amongst multiple drivers. Let's take another look.
Yeah, so this is what happened. Oh, so Bickley just gets tagged from behind by Blackhall. And I tell you what, if that was on the previous build of iRacing, that car would have speared into the side of somebody there.
Yep, it absolutely would have. There's the swipe. Bang. Blackwell in towards the back, and we'll get another potentially better look at it.
I don't necessarily think that Blackwell's done anything wrong. It all checked up in front of Bickley, and it's, yeah, just nowhere to go.
Yep, nowhere to go whatsoever. We'll return back to the live pictures though, because, well, let's get a bit of an update on how the race is going, because we've got Baker in 5th place, Scheller 6th, and Cedric in 6th, excuse me, Scheller in 5th place. Excuse me, he's 5th place in class, 6th place overall, yes, which is what matters for Scheller, and Cedric in 7th.
The big one, though, at the front of the field, just 0.3 of a second between Dan Martin and Andreas Gilman. Gilman could be on for a good result here if he can get past Dan Martin, although catching is one thing, passing is quite the other, as the great Murray Walker used to say. And well, these two, they're at the front. Now, for me, right now, I'm not challenging too hard. I'm working together with each other, because Ross McFarlane and Sidra Setsos are there, and if you start fighting, you're just bringing them into this.
Yeah, it is. And I saw briefly that Gilman did a 118 on that last lap. That couldn't have been right, and now it's reset itself. 131.7 versus a 132 flat for Martin. Looking very, very good here for Gilman at the moment. There is chaos going on behind, by the way. Cedric versus Scheller once again in towards Stewart. It's a bit of door rubbing at no one, and Cedric's through.
It's definitely been a bit more physical as this final race of the evening. The gloves have definitely come off in this one, but there's still less contact than there was in the British Touring Cars on Sunday in their final race of the day. And no safety cars. That's good going, as Damien Harris now making the move on Jake Blackhall. Just looking at the lap times, actually, if I'm Andreas Gilman and I feel that I'm quicker than Martin, I try and get that move done, because McFarlane and Setsos are 0.3 of a second a lap faster than the two race leaders.
They are. They really are. So potentially need to get a bit of a move on here. You mentioned no safety cars. Well, we technically do have them in this series.
We just haven't had any.
We haven't had any. But I remember when we mentioned that last, we had like 2 in the same race day. So it's it's a dangerous thing to mention. Although it works a little differently here in timed races compared to the lapped races that they do in the real world, for example, where they're able to add on laps at the very end. We don't have that in iRacing. There's a lot of race control type things that I would like to see added to the service, which would really help.
Yeah, absolutely. Contact between the two of them, and Gilman goes through on Martin.
He's not going to
now,
keep
Martin
that.
Does Martin give a flash of the headlights? If I'm Gilman, I'm actually giving that place back, because otherwise, if that gets protested, I'm losing championship points there.
Yeah, I would give that back in that situation if I was Gilman. It was a lunge. It was a door that was always closing, unfortunately. But yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to give the place back here, or at least is waiting until Dan Martin's close enough for him to not lose too much time in doing it. Well, I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, that's that's definitely one way of doing it. But look who's rocked up here now. Ross McFarlane is on the tail of these two, because they're squabbling, because there was that contact, because Gilman decided to take it to the scenery, and because Gilman's got a bit of a connection problem as well. Do you know what that looks like to me? Is actually a Wi-Fi thing. He might be on Wi-Fi rather than, his connection is stable in session. It's more of a Wi-Fi where the way it's disappearing and then reappearing such regular intervals. But McFarlane's there as we go 3 into 1 for first place. Martin leads from Gilman and Ross McFarlane in third.
Yeah, and well, in that order, through Paddock Hill Bends, and slightly different runs coming through Druids. Dan Martin comes across to the inside to try and cover off any moves. They're sort of all half covering off each other here at the moment. Flash the headlights from McFarlane. He's feel like he's being held up here, but Gilman can defend all he wants here. It is his right to do so, although a poor run through Graham Hill Bend will allow McFarlane to get to the inside for Surtees, and he's going to send it in hard here.
Yeah, McFarlane, he's not messing about. He's getting the move done. There goes that connection again, and Sindri Setsos is right there with them as well. Oh, can they do it? Well, room's given. Setsos around the outside of Gilman. This could be brave. This could actually work out for him as well. Into Hawthorns, into Westfield, and he does it.
Yeah, does. Well done there to Setsos, and keeps him in the conversation for the race lead as well, or at least the top 2 steps of the podium, because he got disposed of Gilman that quickly. I will have to say though, drivers that are on Wi-Fi, please, if you can, if it is at all possible, run Ethernet to your sim racing rig. You'll thank me later.
Even if it's the running it through your power socket.
I've run it up the skirting boards on my stairs.
Well, here we go then, onto the brakes. Ross McFarlane, remember, he won the first race of the evening. He's making the move in towards Druids for the race lead here in the final race of the evening. And Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims takes the lead now from Dan Martin. Martin, he'll fight this one, but he's going to be looking in his mirrors as well as in front of him.
Yeah, I think McFarlane has every single chance at getting away here. There's battle in behind Sedgwick, through on Baker there in that sort of second battle pack that we have going. Mine will have the luxury of the slipstream here, at least for a couple of laps, but it's not a massive effect here at Brands Hatch. The straights are just not long enough for you to gain any sort of momentum, and McFarlane has been looking so good over the course of this the past 3 races that we've had. So I would expect him to now run away and stretch his legs at the front, and for this to become a battle for P2.
Up over the crest there, through Sheen Curve, into Sterling's, out of it, and then down this back straight underneath the access road, and then into the braking zone for the Jim Clark curve. Through that corner, onto the Jack Brabham straight, and through we go again for another lap. 4.5 minutes remain here in this third race of the evening, as there goes Setsos down the inside. That Audi. Setsos has been saying that in the virtual paddock that it's not the best around here today. Well, certainly he's been able to pedal that car towards the front of the field.
Yeah, gets the pass done quite comfortably there in towards Druids. Or rather the exit of Druids, because Martin, he was looking to try and maintain that overlap at least through the exit of Druids and into the entry to Grey Mill Bend, which will give him a good chance, but he wasn't able to do that. He'll have a run back on him through Pilgrim's Drop here up in towards Hawthorns, but again, that's not a guarantee. Don't count Gilman out of this one as well. He's been waiting patiently in the wings in the top AM position in that Civic at the back of this trio, but again, they're just a little bit too far apart here to be making any too many daring moves.
They plunge downhill through Dingledell in towards Sheen once again, onto the brakes. This has been great stuff to watch in this third and final race of the evening with 3.25 minutes remaining. It's Ross McFarlane who leads. Sindri Setsos up 11 places from where he started into second place. Dan Martin third, with Andreas Gilman fourth, who's also the top AM driver here in this final race of the evening. Cedric fifth ahead of David Baker, Stefan Scheller in seventh. Craig Williams is the next best AM in eighth place, not moving much more further forward. And then the next best AM is actually going to be Elliot Roberts in 13th. 13th down are all AMs. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's a gaggle of AM drivers, and they're all actually not too far away on the circuit together. Meanwhile, Harrison Jaworski going wheel to wheel through Druids, and the Wave Italy car is going to come out on top in regards to that particular battle. But we do still have to focus potentially on final podium position here, because Dan Martin has not been able to keep on to the back of Setsos, and now Gilman might be looking for not only an AM class win, but an overall podium as well.
It would do him good. I mean, 2 fourth places would be a good amount of points. Dan Martin just running a little bit wide there through the grass. Able to keep ahead of Gilman there. The sun is setting here at Brands Hatch, going through Sheen onto the brakes. That Sheen curve, the car always wants to understeer on corner exit and head you towards the grass. But you've got to keep it on the absolute limit of adhesion. Through the final turn they go, and heading towards another lap. Will Ross McFarlane have enough time to get 2 more laps here? I don't think he will, so this should be the last lap of the race as Gilman looks to the inside of Martin. No move being made for the time being, but he's showing his intentions right now.
Yeah, no move available in towards Druids though, so has to do it somewhere perhaps a little bit trickier. You can see he has the momentum potentially into Grey Mill Bend, but again not capitalising on it, and Dan Martin's actually done very, very well to get a good run through there and to keep Gilman about 3.5 tenths of a second behind. There is a bit of a fight further back in the pack, and amongst that grouping of AMP drivers, Sakovic and Shield actually the ones that have the overlap into Surtees right now.
And this is the fight for the final podium spot in AM. Oh, a little bit of a kiss between the two. No intent in that. That was just a mistake. The car running out wide into the side of Sakovic, and that sees Sakovic lose a couple of positions through that one. So Roberts right now is in that 3rd place in AM, but Shield, Sakovic and Shirley are all fighting over that final step of the podium in AM. Sakovic is not going to give this one up without a fight. Down the inside into Sheen, gets the job done, but we'll look forward then, because Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims Esports, he won the opening race of the night. He has won the final race of the night. Pure Sims Esports driver Ross McFarlane wins round number 30 of the World Touring Car Series Season 4. Andreas Gilman for Impulse Racing takes the AM win in 4th place. Really good stuff from them. The rest of the drivers come across the line. And every race tonight had every driver finish.
That's what we like to see. Everyone on the leading lap in this instance as well. We see McFarlane celebrating. Gilman will be very happy with his performance as well over the course of today. But I think Ross McFarlane might have him beat in terms of happiness with the race wins, as he'll bring it to park.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 2 race wins tonight for Ross McFarlane. He'll be absolutely over the moon with the Pure Sims Esports driver. That will help him in his fight for the Pro Championship. Remember, next week is the last round that drop scores are in effect. The final round of the championship in 2 weeks' time at Silverstone. Whatever you score in that one, you take to the final of the championship. Let's take a look then at the provisional race results for round number 30 of the World Touring Car Series, and it's Ross McFarlane for Pure Sims Esports in his Hyundai Veloster who wins that race by 2 seconds over the Audi of Sindre Setsource in that Was Cooking Racing Adventures car. Dan Martin for RD Simsport in his Honda finishes in 3rd place in an impressive podium for him. And then Andreas Gilman for Impulse Racing gets the AM win and 4th place overall. That's 2 overall 4th places for Andreas tonight. Jack Sedgwick in 5th ahead of David Baker and Stefan Scheller. Craig Williams able to gain positions in that race. 6 places gained to finish in 8th in that Was Cooking by CSS Audi for 2nd place in AM. Wojciech Savinovic started at the back, gets up into 9th ahead of Jake Blackhall in 10th place. 11th place for Damien Harris, who won race number 2 of the evening for Wave Italy, ahead of Slavomir Jaworski. Then the final step of the AM podium is taken by Elliot Roberts, who started that race from pole position in his Was Cooking Racing Adventures Audi. Andy Shield, well, he had a tumultuous evening and does get himself into 14th ahead of Magic Sakovic. Martin Shirley and Stuart Bickley round out your results. Well, we got all the way through 3 races tonight, with every driver finishing every race all on the lead lap. It's amazing what happens when they try, Connery.
Yeah, it's incredible. That's what we like to see, and hopefully we can finish off this season just as we've done these 3 races. You know, at Donington and at Silverstone at the end. Of course, a few more overtaking opportunities at Silverstone. I really love Silverstone as a circuit because there's so many ways you can try and get yourself through. So potentially a decent amount of battling there for our season finale. And you bring up a very, very good point. Next time out is going to be the last time that the drop rounds are in effect. So with the way this series works, you have drop rounds in effect for round 1 all the way into the penultimate race meeting, and then we don't have any drop rounds for the final round. So you really want to take part in that final round because you can't drop it. So that gives us a better idea of who's where in the championship, because we're not having to do this calculation of who drops which round and where, and you know what the situation is there. It just makes it so much simpler both for us and of course for the race administrators as well to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes our life really much easier here in the commentary box when it comes to finals day, which is in 2 weeks' time. But we had a really good evening of racing. I will say, Sindre Setsource in the races 2 and 3 was the really big mover in those 2 races. 11 places gained in just that last race alone. He had a great round.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, it's not going to do much in terms of championship. I think that's still a little bit too far away for him at the moment. But I mean, I would still take it, and it still secures him ahead of David Baker. So that's kind of a reprioritization going on there. Maybe not race win, but maybe just maintaining that 3rd place in the championship is the task here for Setsource. I'll be very interested to see how the mathematics works out between McFarlane and Cedric, though, heading into our final couple of rounds, in that instance. So, definitely looking forward to it. You know, even though we've had the field cut down a little bit at this stage in the season, there's still reasons for you to watch this all the way to the very end, because both of our championships in Pro and Am are undecided. Some of the teams' places are not quite decided yet either, so definitely want to be paying attention.
Yeah, and in just 1 week's time, we'll be heading to Donington Park for rounds 31 to 34 of this championship. And well, we're getting into the business end of the season. Certainly, it has been a tremendous evening's round of racing here from the World Touring Car Series. But for myself, Paul Smith, from Conor Maddock, everybody behind the scenes at RaceSpotTV, that is all we've got time for you here today. Ross McFarlane will be delighted because it's 2 race wins out of 3 tonight. Until next week at Donington Park, it's goodbye.